Hey, Unchainers! This is Timmert, and you're listening to the Unchaining Me podcast. And we're back. Hello, Unchainers. How is everybody doing? I am so grateful, so excited to be back in the studio, kickstarting another season of the Unchaining Me podcast, recording the first episode. It feels so good to be back after what felt like such a long time being away. I hope all of you are doing great in whatever walk of life, whatever season of life that you're in. Whether you're productive or whether you are resting, whether you are mothers caring for your kids or working outside the house or working from home, handling many things in life and growing and learning and unchaining as you do. I feel like I have been with you the whole time. Just my intuition felt like this learning process, this growing process that I was actively engaged in past few months was a shared space, because that's what we're all doing. If you are here listening to this podcast, growing, changing, unchaining, and being better than you were the day before or the season before matters a lot to you. So I feel like I've already shared that space of growth spiritually with you all. So it feels so good to actually be inside creating this inside the studio, because I've been creatively constipated. My intuition has been offering so much. It has been a tough season for me. The summer has been so hectic, draining in many ways. But throughout, I had this conscious awareness that even this process, especially this process, was what was going to birth new insights, strengthen me in ways that no other season in my life had strengthened me before. So it has been hard, but then I knew instinctively that it was purposeful kind of hard. I heard a quote today somewhere saying, pressure is privilege. Pressure is privilege. You know, it's counterintuitive, right? When you think about it, like pressure sounds like stress, sounds challenging. Why is that privilege? But then how else do we grow, right? How else do we learn? Our intuition, our creativity, our yearning to change, to shift, to grow is the most attentive, the most sensitive when we are going through something, when we are being challenged, when our fear is the loudest. So I'm so grateful to have that awareness. It doesn't make the process any comfortable. It's still uncomfortable. But then I stopped resisting it, at least. And that makes a lot of energy available to soak in all the lessons. So without further ado, let me tell you a couple of new things that I'm up to with this fresh energy coming back to creating content for you guys. I am on Clubhouse. Woo, woo. I think everybody by now has heard about Clubhouse. It is a social audio platform. It's like podcast, but then live, right? So you get to just follow different, speakers or different accounts, different clubs that resonate with what you want to achieve and what you feel gravitated towards. And you have either scheduled rooms that you can, put on your calendars to go and join and listen to the discussions, or some people or some accounts can just start, a room out of the blue or whatever, whenever they feel like it. So I'm still on a learning curve, courtesy of a few friends who have mastered the game. But as reluctant as I am, about starting a new platform or going into the new hype instead of utilizing what already works for me, I am slowly giving Clubhouse a shot because I find so much value in it, so much value in being there listening to people who know what they're talking about, people sharing vulnerably, getting help or seeking help. I think especially in our community, Ethiopian, Eritrean communities, diaspora communities, immigrant communities, it's so vital to be connected in such a one-stop type of platform where you just, all you need is just your phone, and then you chime in or you just listen. So I am giving it a shot, and I'm really loving how it's going so far. I mean, it's only been 2 weeks since I've been very active on it. So this Friday, as in if you're listening to this podcast the day I release it on the 29th of October, at 10 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, I will be launching the club, Unchainers. The Unchainers, rather. That is the name I've given the club. And I'll just be talking about why I'm on Clubhouse, how the Unchaining Me journey landed me where I am right now, and what the future may hold for me and for Unchaining Me. So please join. If you need an invite, go ahead, email me, reach out to me on any social media platform that you happen to follow me on, and I will send you an invite. Those of you who don't know, Clubhouse right now is an invite only. They may just open it up, but it's based on somebody who is already using Clubhouse sending you an invite via email or text. So I'll be more than happy to pull you into the Clubhouse world. So that is what's going on. What else is going on? I'm doing 50 coaching conversations this year before the end of the year. I'm already taking email addresses. Most of you have already signed up, but if you are just hearing about it, I will extend the signing up time for you as well. Basically, I'm trying to bring the power of coaching to you. People can be either skeptical about coaching if they know too little about it, and most of it is assumption, or they may just not know anything about it at all. Many people that I coach start from a place of confusing it with therapy, and coaching is very different, has some similarities, but it's very different fundamentally from all of those. So coaching is so powerful. I have a coach. Nobody gets to a place where they say, or should get to a place where they say they don't need to learn anymore or they've gotten it. I think we stop growing means we're dead. So for the next phase of my life and where I want to go personally, career-wise, and my family life and my relationship, I hired a coach to work with one. I think coaching is something that each and every individual needs to consider. So I am having these conversations with 50 people. I'm going to pick from a pool of people, a pool of profiles and contact informations that I receive. I am going to call you either over Zoom if you're comfortable or over the phone and serve you within that hour. We may even go over wherever the intuition takes us, your intuition and mine. I want to show you the power that's possible when two people come together with the intention of shifting and transforming mindsets, heart sets, soul sets. That is what I'm after, and that is what coaching is all about. And unless put into action, unless based in a conversation, coaching is just the hype. Everybody's a coach these days. Everybody's a life coach. What is a life coach? You are missing out if you don't have a coach. You are absolutely missing out on an opportunity to truly take this motivation and inspiration that you could be finding in podcasts and quotes and YouTube videos and Clubhouse or wherever the platform may be. Inspiration, motivation is awesome. It's great. But then are you following up with a forwarding action? Are you putting in an actual solid step forward? Do you have someone who can hold you accountable? Do you have someone who can ask you empowering questions, who's not trying to please you or be on your good side, who is comfortable making you uncomfortable so you can then unchain? So if all of these things resonate with you and say to yourself, I'm ready for this, or maybe I can consider this, please go ahead, send me your email address, and I will put you in the pool from which then I will pick 50 individuals that I'm going to have a coaching session with. That is all the housekeeping, I guess, for today. Since this is the season opener, I wanted to talk about what's been happening and kind of tie it into something fundamental that I'm learning right now. I didn't want to just go into something else without addressing these immense, intense lessons that I've been learning while I was away. That would be a disservice to you, and that would be a disservice to my creativity. So I want to talk about selfishness today and selflessness because, they tie into each other in such a deep way. The summer has kicked my butt, and I would have said the A word if I didn't mind putting this podcast in the explicit category. That just makes it less accessible to everybody. So I don't want to go there, but it kicked me in the butt this summer. What has happened was we hosted my sister and her family, a family of 4, over at our house for the whole summer. And, I'm an immigrant diaspora who doesn't really have a lot of family around here, don't have that big of a social life. So me and my husband are always, welcoming an opportunity to be with family, be it travel there or them come here as much as possible. We try and do that. And this summer was, yes, I was skeptical in the beginning. I just had a baby last December. So by the time my sister and her family came over, I was, maybe 6 months postpartum, still struggling to maintain my breast milk supply, still figuring out how to mother a newborn and a toddler and 2 teenagers, and then my stepdaughter who comes back and forth between her home with her mom in London and here with us. The chores, we just moved into a new house back in December too. We hadn't really fully settled from all of that. And then my husband has his own, job and all of these things going on. It made me skeptical if we were ready to host that big of a family and make that big of a commitment. But a part of me felt like, of course, I'm in America. I am in a much better position. I am the only family member here, from my sisters and my brothers. Of course, I'm going to make this opportunity available for my sister and her family. And of course, I'm supposed to enjoy everything about this season. So there was this thing that left me with no choice. And that thing was within me. No one put a gun to my head. And so it happened. So they came, and my aim, my intention was to continue doing what I'm doing, continue coaching my clients, showing up fully and energetically as I always do, produce content, continue, my self-care, my mental health, tune-ups, just everything that makes me me and fuels me from within. I'm going to continue doing all of that and still show up and be the best host that I can be. And I didn't pause and think, is that going to be too much? Which one's going to suffer? If I get to a place where I had to pick one or the other, which one will I pick? How will the harmony look like? I didn't look into any of that. So the first week or so, maybe a couple of weeks, I was so proud of myself. I was just everywhere. I did everything. tuned into conversations with, my sister, whom I hadn't seen for years, and her husband and her kids. And I was the coach, and I was the aunt, and I was the sister, and I was the sister-in-law. I was the mom, I was the stepmom, I was the wife. I was everything, and still managed to squeeze in a couple of meditations a week, a couple of yoga sessions a week. And then I got tired. And then I had to pick what to do, who to give my attention to, who to serve. And I automatically put myself last. It was just an automatic thing. I didn't think of this. I didn't say, okay, there's X amount of hours in the day. I have to wake up at night to feed the baby. I have to do this and that early in the morning, late at night. And so where do I draw my boundaries? Where do I become selective? I didn't say any of that. It wasn't a conscious decision. I just automatically started doing less and less and less of the things that nourished me and focused on nourishing others. And you guessed it. By the end, I was worn out. I was resentful. I was absolutely exhausted and really even mad at myself. I know this thing. I know you don't pour from an empty cup. I've said it so many times I can repeat it in my sleep. I know you have to put your oxygen mask first before you assist anybody else. But I wasn't doing that. I was rushing to save everybody. I was rushing to show up as valuable in other people's lives without noticing that I was going low and low and low on my own deposit, on my own energy. So I want to talk about selfishness and selflessness and how we can find a great spot in between, or if we may need to just toss out one of them and just focus with one. I am a typical, true to my core Libra. Like, it describes me. That scale that you see when you think of Libra sign, that's me. I aim for balance as possible, harmony if not. I don't want to toss out anything. I think everything serves a value. I think everything, if we digest it and internalize it the right way, can show us something or something valuable. So I started thinking, where does this romanticizing selflessness come from within me? And then I started thinking, who else shows it? And then I said to myself, everybody where I come from. There's also another word for it, altruism. It's this putting yourself last is seen as something that will benefit you spiritually, something that makes you a good person, a better person, a kind person. And that's what the culture says. Selfless mothers, really the idea of the selfless mother is the only way to be a mother that I knew growing up. That when my mom was exhibiting signs of stress and exhaustion and mental illness, we thought, what kind of a bad mom do you have to be to make us come last, or to make us feel guilty, or to make us feel anything that's not good? So I grew up in a culture that celebrated letting go of yourself in the service of others. So obviously, that's where that came from. And then I started thinking, like, in a humanity type of way, why do we serve? Is it because we care? Helping others, family? Is it because we want something in return? The reciprocity? If I do something good for you, then you are most likely to do something good for me too. That's advantage seeking. Why do we serve strangers then? People that we don't know if they will pay us back or not, if they will serve us back or not. Are we really truly selfless? Do we do it because we are selfless? Do we really gain nothing back? Or maybe could there be this indirect reciprocity? Maybe if I do something good here, then some kind of spiritual bank is going to get bigger for me. So maybe I'll be repaid in a different time, at a different time, in a different way. Or are we selfless because our reputation matters to us? Our reputation is what people say we are, is how people see us. So I do good things because I care about what other people think of me. If I'm nice, people will think highly of me, and they will maybe go to the extra mile to approve me, to say, she is great. And bullseye. That was where my nerve endings were. I was seeking approval because I am the only family member in America. I felt that if I don't show up and show out in the way that I host, then my sister and her husband, and then everybody else back home who's going to get all the information that they bring to them, that they take to them, is going to judge me. If I don't say yes to every shopping excursion, to every question they ask, to everything I have to research to tell or to inform, if I don't make myself available for every need that they show, then they won't approve me. Then they won't see that I am a person worth admiring, respecting, loving. Now, mind you, this does not reflect reality, the fear that I have, right? The fear that I had. It does not reflect reality. By that, I mean, I know my sister loves me. She has her own ways of showing it individually. I know my brother-in-law respects me. I know he sees so much in me. He has a different way of showing it, a different way of expressing it. That is true to him. But if I make myself see that, it's there. But the way I took it was I thought of myself lower than them by comparing myself to them. And I thought, this is what I have to give them. The fact that I'm here, the fact that I am well versed in the life here and everything else. So I have to show up and show out in that way so they see value in me. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to show them value because I wanted them to then pay it back in love and respect, expressed in ways that I could see and I could feel deep into my heart. But obviously, that's not how that works. People are true to who they are, and people are true to how they express what they express. And people have needs. And if there's a person who claims to be selfless, who is hell-bent on sniffing every need that they have and meeting them for them, of course they're going to be okay with it. Of course they're going to be comfortable being taken care of, being served, being hosted. But what I was expecting was for them to say, oh my gosh, you're doing so much. You're doing really a lot. How awesome are you? How great are you? You're serving us selflessly. Please take time for yourself. No, it's okay. I don't need this. It's okay. I don't have to go shopping today. It's okay. Just go. I was waiting for that. I was hoping that they would see enough value in me that they would then find me worth caring for, that they would then assert that I needed caring for. What a crazy idea to have, but that's exactly what I was thinking. And a part of me that worshipped selflessness didn't really know that being selfless is a very dangerous form of selfishness. Because when all of that need is not met, when all of that request is not answered positively, then resentment comes. Then exhaustion comes. And these people that you claim to serve, that you claim to care for, end up being the people you then risk resenting. Because you have created this payback loop in your head that they have no idea exists. They're in their world, dealing with their thoughts and, their plans and their fears. But you've put them in this big loop. You've included them there, and you're waiting for them to do something that only you know that you need from them. that even you cannot give yourself. It's really an insane thing to be doing when you think about it. But the problem is we don't think about it. The problem is we habitually do it because we claim, oh, we got to be selfless. I want to be known as that sacrificial, selfless individual who is worthy of love and worthy of respect. More often than not, we don't even give that respect to ourselves. We don't even give that love to ourselves. The way we think about ourselves, the way we compare ourselves to others and then fall short each time, the way we abuse ourselves doesn't even align with that need. And I started thinking, what does nature tell us about this? Is nature selfish? Is nature selfless? And I started researching. I started watching TED Talks. I started reading articles about what nature can tell us about selfishness or selflessness. And what I got to was unbelievable. Nature favors collaboration. Nature favors oneness and leaning into one another or relationships that benefit both parties. That's what nature is into. But if you dissect it, nature is selfish. Nature wants to get something out of a relationship, but then also gives something in that relationship. If you look at a bee pollinating a tree or a flower, you think the bee is selflessly serving the flower? It may look like it. It's helping it reproduce, right? It's doing that while it's drinking its nectar. It's feeding off of its nectar so it can then go and make honey. Nature is selfish. Even the way nature collaborates, it shows us that when you think of only serving someone else, you are forgetting and letting go of a very important part, which is if that act does not serve you in some way, it doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be exactly what you're giving out that needs to come back. But even if it's joy, you need to find value in what you're getting back. It needs to be worth it for you. I care about myself because it's the best way to care about others. I care for others because it's the best way to care for me. Seeing that collective benefit, seeing that collective gain is how we continue collaborating in the long term. Or it becomes a sprint where we run dry, where we get exhausted. And the people who we have been serving or claiming to serve are going to wake up and say, then why did you do all of it? Why have you been doing all of that? Imagine your kids saying that to you after they've turned into adults and you tell them, I did this for you. I did that for you. I let go of myself. I let go of my career for you. I stayed in this relationship for you. We're hoping that selfless act, in quotes, right, is going to land on their minds, on their psyche as a plus, as a bonus, that then later on, they're going to reward us with admiration, with realization of that sacrifice. But if they don't, we've just made an enemy for ourselves out of the people we claim to love. So now, let's get practical. How do we become selfish? I want to increase in you the need to be selfish, the need to recognize when you are selfish, and the need to make sure you find value in it. First of all, that negative connotation, that societal stigma that brings guilt with whatever you set out to do for yourself, for your enjoyment, for your betterment, needs to go. It's gotta go, because for as long as it's there, you're going to be chained to it, or by it, rather. And then you can't move forward. It's this mental chain that keeps you repeating the same pattern, the same behavior, and almost trying to find a personality out of it, a reputation out of it. Oh, I'm that selfless person. Because you are chained with this negative connotation of selfishness. You haven't brought in the light of awareness and consciousness to it. So you got to start there. You got to start from seeing it in a different light, shifting your perspective. The effect of that is going to be, the effect of staying with that societal stigma is going to be, you're going to be unable to ask for what you need. And really, simply put, how else would people know what to give you? How else would people know how to serve you? So the negative stigma has to go. We have to then decide that we are worth our own time and energy. We got to find value in ourselves. And that's a big ask for most of us who have been abusing and bullying ourselves in the mental realm. That when I ask some of my clients, after they share with me the negative thoughts that they grapple with, if they would then talk to a friend of theirs in that way. And the look on their face is like, no, I wouldn't do that. Who would do that? But then you're talking to yourself like this. If you saw someone else, even a stranger, talking that way to a complete stranger, you would at least pause and have a judgment about it. Find value in yourself. You are valuable. You are a 1 in a billion occurrence. Nobody else on earth has the same experiences, personalities, tendencies, lessons, strengths, weaknesses, things to offer like you. See that value? If your light goes off, that's it, it goes off. Nothing else replaces it. You complement creation, you complement life in such a unique way that you need to start seeing value in yourself right this very minute. If you need to stand in front of a mirror and remind yourself that every single day, do it. And that really is the only way, through practicing it, through repeating it, that you start strengthening that muscle of valuing yourself, because that muscle has been just sitting around idle. You've actually been exercising and strengthening its opposite muscle. The self-loathing, the putting yourself last, the not seeing value in yourself, the self-bullying, that's been strengthened. And good news for us is that even science, biology, has confirmed that the more you practice a new thought, new neural connections grow to strengthen that thought. The more you practice it, the old ones die out. I mean, thoughts are really merely neurons connecting and firing together. And I read this expression somewhere: neurons that fire together, wire together. So fire those neurons repeatedly. Say it 3, 4, 5 times every day. I have value. I am worthy. And then wherever your attention goes, your actions then follow. Then you start seeing yourself do more of the things that bring you joy, that make you feel good. They may not all the time make you feel good, but even if they challenge you, you're doing it with the knowing that they are ultimately beneficial for you. They add value to you. So that is a core place we need to go to. We need to redirect compassion and words to ourselves. And you know what else? You need to mind the apologies. Sorry, we say it so simply, so nonchalantly. Sometimes there's nothing to be sorry about. Sometimes there could be, but why really? Why do we communicate this idea of lowering ourselves down to other people when we can replace it with other things? So now what I'm trying to replace I'm sorry with is gratitude. So if I'm late, I try and say, thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for being patient. If I had to change an appointment with a client, instead of saying, sorry, my daughter is not well, I say, thank you for understanding that my daughter's well-being matters to me. Because every time you say sorry and put yourself down for really minute things or things that don't really require an apology, you are communicating with yourself. You are asserting that old way of thinking that tells you you're not of value, that you are somehow less than. And that feeds in that selflessness, self-sabotage type of loop that you've created in your mind. So the story we create in our heads, that everyone around us is there to take advantage of us, everyone around us is going to then use us, that comes with this fear of, oh my gosh, I'm doing too much and I'm not getting anything back. And this reaffirms that first point, the first thing I mentioned, that we cannot ask for what we need if we don't practice selfishness. And when you ask for what you need, you make I statements. I need you to do this for me. I need to do this for myself, and therefore I need your support in XYZ way. That's what I failed to say to my sister. And I know right now that she would have embraced it. She would have facilitated it if I were vulnerable enough to tell her what I needed. If I were firm enough to say, this is what I need, please help me achieve it. But I didn't. I misled her and didn't even serve her in that way. So please put this in mind. Every time you are sacrificing yourself in this selfless way, know that you are not really ultimately serving the other person that you claim to love. But by telling them what you need and allowing them, helping them, situating them to be in a better place to serve you back, you are walking in alignment with nature, reciprocity. You are honoring yourself and what you need in that moment, in that season. And you are strengthening that relationship externally with that person. So what is self-care? I know it's just tossed around everywhere on social media, and it's good, but then also unfortunate at the same time, because then when it gets so overused and abused in some ways, it loses its potency. Kind of like the word God for me. I know that's a deep topic. We'll get into it in another podcast episode. But things that get tossed around a lot kind of lose that strength. But self-care is not this hype word, but it's truly having a healthy and functional relationship with ourselves. And that is so fundamental. That is the base. If you're building something, you concentrate on making sure the base is solid. The foundation is set, right? That is what self-care is. Boundaries are part of self-care, a very essential part of self-care. Attention to your intuition is an act of so healthy and functional relationship with yourself. Your intuition is always speaking, and more often than not, we shove it aside because it happens to be inconvenient at times for the people-pleasing and validation-seeking that we're running around to do. But your intuition is your best friend. Your intuition is out there to make sure that you are in alignment. Listen to it. If you have been fragmented from it, make peace with it. Journaling really helps you reconnect. shove all that noise aside and let your intuition speak and listen to it. Actually promote it, encourage it by following it. If you have someone giving you advice and you keep listening to their advice and going the other way each time, that person is going to eventually stop giving you advice, right? That's the same way with your intuition. The only difference is you cannot afford to mute it. You can afford to mute really anybody externally. You'll adapt. But your intuition is, you get one of it. And nobody knows you as deep as your intuition knows you. It's your extension. It's who you are. It's your essence. It's your higher coach. So self-care does not mean you neglect others. Does not mean you are uncaring. It's actually the other way. So as a decision to return back to loving myself and caring for myself and not losing myself in this idea of service to others, I am back doing my yoga every single day. I am back meditating and journaling on a daily basis and doing things that nourish me. Facial, massage from time to time. I am allowing myself to bask in the joy of what my body is, of what my life is, of what my soul is, who I am. And I'm finding out that taking time, because we never really make time, it's taking time. It's a limited resource, and we have to take from it to do things that matter, that we see are valuable. And I'm seeing that when I take time to do those things for myself, it doesn't mean it's not simple like pie chart where you take a slice and there's a small amount left or there's less left for everybody else. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm seeing that when I do show up, I show up fully, energized, set, deeply connected, deeply affirmed, renewed, revitalized. And that is what serves my loved ones. When I'm with my kids, I am with my kids. Yeah, I may take a couple of Instagram pictures or stories from time to time, but I make it a conscious decision to give them my level best, undistracted. When I am with my husband, I do the same thing. When I'm talking to my family back home, I show up. And it is my intention to continue doing that, to make sure it's a habit, that I don't have to think twice to nurture myself going forward. I don't have to tell myself I have to make some kind of arrangement where I take from my loved ones. That's not the case. So I just wanted to spend this first episode, or to use this first episode to share this intuition with you, to share these lessons with you. And I hope that you're going to forward this into action. Ask yourself for what you need. Truly, truly explore where in your life you need more healing, more recovery, more support. What's your intuition telling you? What is it screaming out for? What is it screaming out for at you? And have these conversations with friends and family and in your relationships. And start with saying, I need. Don't tell them, you don't. No. Say, I need. There's power in representing yourself and doing it boldly and asking for what you need. And everything in your life will be better for it. Thank you so much for following through this first episode with me. I'm excited to bring you a lot this season. I'm excited to serve you. I'm excited to serve myself and reap the joy, or reap the benefits at the same time. Again, don't forget to sign up for the coaching conversations. Send me your email, either via my email or on any of the social media platforms that you follow me on. And I will demonstrate to you the power in coaching. Have a beautiful week, Unchainers. And don't forget to support by liking, rating, subscribing, and sharing with your family and friends. Thank you so much, and see you with the next episode.